Hi little peoples, welcome to 6th standard biology online class. In the previous class we saw about vermicomposting, and in this class we'll see about think and throw. So all of you take your science book, page number 159. So what do you think, how much of garbage do we use every day in our house? So to estimate this, we can use a bucket to measure the amount of garbage used in every house. We can use a 5 to 10 liter bucket to collect the garbage from our house for a few days. So we have to see in how many days does the bucket become full. If the number of members in a family are more, then the bucket will fill quickly. Now just estimate the number of buckets of garbage that may be generated in a day in our city or town. Just imagine how big mountains of garbage will be collected every day, isn't it? So for this, they have given a short story about a village where there is less garbage and more wisdom. So Nanu is a boy, he studies in class 6 and he is very fond of making paper planes like every other child. So he is simply tearing pages from his notebooks and makes aeroplanes. His mother is very annoyed she is very worried when he tears the papers from his notebooks to make aeroplanes. She asks him to not to do this, but he doesn't care at all. He simply tears the papers from the notebooks and makes aeroplanes. He's very fond of it. So once Nanu, he went to his aunt's village along with his mother. There he had a cousin. His cousin's name was Shyam. He was a very good boy and he made files from old charts, greeting cards decorated with flowers made from pencil shavings, mats from old clothes, baskets from used old polythene bags were some of the items Nanu liked. Actually, Nanu saw all these things. He liked them a lot. And Sham had even made a diary of invitation cards. From invitation cards, he had even made a diary. So one morning, when Nanu went looking for his grandmother, he saw that she was doing something on a basket. She was applying a thick paste. So Nanu asked, Nani, what are you doing? What is this paste? So Nani means pati. So Nani, what are you doing? What is this paste? So Nani replied that it is a paper mach. That is a paste made of clay and paper, in which she had also mixed some rice husk. So Nanu asked why she was putting that paste in the basket. So Nani said that she used this paste to make the basket stronger. So she asked, would you want to learn this from me? But Nanu said no, because he was not interested in all these things. He just simply ran out from his house to play. He was only interested in tearing off the pages from the notebook to make paper planes. He is interested only in that. So in fact, he also started tearing up papers from Sham's files also. So Sham collected all the pieces of paper Nanu had used, wondering what to do about him. So what Nanu tore the pages, Sham collected that pages too, and he made a file, of course. Okay. So this Nanu wasn't listening to anyone. He was just doing whatever he wanted. So in a few days, Nanu's birthday came and his cousin Sham, he planned to invite all Nanu's friends. And Nanu went out to the market to buy some chocolates and all for his friends from the market. So he bought some paper hats for his friends and he asked the shopkeeper for a polythene bag to keep the hats. But the shopkeeper gave only paper bag instead of polythene bag. And Nano also bought other items like biscuits, chocolates, etc. So everything was given in paper bags alone. No one gave polythene bags in that village. So he found it difficult to carry all these, as no shopkeeper gave a polythene bag, because carrying a polythene bag is somewhat better than paper bags, because paper bags would tear easily if you apply weight, isn't it? So Sham told him to carry a cloth bag. Actually, when Nanu went to buy something from the market, Sham advised him to carry a cloth bag, but he did not listen to him. But somehow Nanu managed to bring all the things he had purchased. He came home. Then his birthday came, and all his friends enjoyed the feast, and they played many games, and all his friends were given that shiny paper hats which he had bought to give his friends. Next, Sham made a beautiful paper match mask for Nanu's friends. That is with the paste which Nani was doing. No? So with the help of that paste, Sham had made a mask for Nanu's friends. And he also had a special gift to give for Nanu. That is a photo frame and a greeting card, all made from the paste of all the pieces of paper Nanu had thrown away. Actually, it was a very good experience for Nanu, and all his friends went home with their masks. Nanu was also very excited. He finished his meal and he was excited in seeing what his gifts were. Next, Nanu returned home from his village after his holidays were over. So he thought how different his town was from Sham's village. Sham's village was still using paper bags and all those things, but in his town they were using polythene bags instead. And there were no rag pickers in the village because the village was very neat and clean. But in towns we can see so many children or many men and women picking up rags from the garbages. But in the village there was none because it was neat and clean. But now he stopped making faces when he saw the rag picking children near his house. That is, whenever he saw some children picking the rag, he would see, oh, disgusting, he will think like that. But now he stopped making faces. He saw that the children, what they are doing. So we also might have seen some children sorting the garbages near our house at other places. So you should observe the children. So what they are doing. So actually what will they do? They will just separate useful materials from the garbage. So they are actually helping us. That thing we have to do. We have to separate the useful materials from the garbage and put separately as degradable and biodegradable. But we do not do this. We simply put all the garbages in one polythene bag and throw it away. That is our work. So these rag pickers actually separate useful materials from the garbage. And just think this as an activity. So whenever you find a child or someone doing this rag picking job, so you can just go and ask what they do with the rubbish they collect. That is, what they do, whatever they collected, what they do with it actually. So where they take it, and does that girl or boy go to school? Do they have any friends? And if they do not go to school, you can ask for the reason possible. So what is the reason that you don't go to school? They can ask like that. And if you can help the child to read and write. We can help the child. So have you ever helped at home to sell old newspapers, glass and metal things, plastic bags and our notebooks to a garbage dealer? We can talk to them also and find out what he does with all that garbages. That is with the papers, glass materials, plastic bags, etc. What they actually do, what they do in the garbage, how do they separate and all these things we can just ask to know. So, would you like to make paper from old and discarded paper like sham? So, to become like sham, we have to learn to do this. That is nothing. Sham is recycling the paper and making something useful. So, we'll see how we can recycle the paper. What is the method for recycling of paper? So, your next topic is about recycling of paper. So, for that we'll require old newspapers or magazines, used envelopes, notebooks or any other paper, but we should not use any shiny or plastic coated paper. Again, we should use only biodegradable papers. Okay. So, for this we also will need a frame or a wire mesh or a net for that, and we can also use a large sized sieve in place of a frame. So, instead of frame we can also use a large sized sieve. Next, the first step is we have to tear all the papers into small pieces and put them in a bucket or a tub and pour enough water in it. The paper should remain in water for about a day. That is, the pieces of paper should remain submerged in water for about a day. Then make a thick paste of paper by pounding it. Okay, by pounding it, we should make that submerged paper into a thick paste. Next, take this paste and spread the waste paste on the wire mesh fixed to the frame. Okay, now put it gently to make the thickness of the layer of the paste as uniform as possible. We have to spread on the wire mesh until it is uniform. That is, it should not be bulged in one place and slightly thin at another place. So, you should spread it evenly, then only it will look nice. So, we have to wait until all the water drain off from this paste of paper. If required, we can also use an old cloth or a sheet of paper on the paste, so that the extra water which is in the paste will get absorbed on the cloth. Okay. Now, we have to carefully remove the layer of the paste from the frame. So, we have to spread it on a sheet of newspaper and keep it in the sun so that it dries off completely. Now, keep the corners of the newspaper sheet pressed because sometimes it may curl up. So, for that, put some weight on the corners of the paste, that is the newspaper sheet. Put some weight so that they do not curl up. Now we can also add food color or a pieces of dry leaves or flower petals or pieces of colored paper in the paste before spreading it. Okay, before spreading the paste, we can also add all these things, that is food color or pieces of dry leaves, flower petals or pieces of colored paper. So it will help you to get a recycled paper with beautiful patterns. Now, can we recycle everything just as we recycle paper? Can we do like that? Recycling paper is somewhat easy, but recycling other metals or materials is somewhat difficult, but it can be recycled, and we cannot recycle everything that is found in the garbage. So, we'll see about plastics now. So, next is plastics. Is it a boon or a curse? See, we can feel that plastics are very helpful for us in one way or other, but again, it is a curse because it cannot be recycled and it is somewhat poisonous, which again bring many diseases to human beings and every other living things. So it may be a boon for us, but it is actually a curse because all the garbages which gets recycled are good, but plastic is some kinds of plastics cannot be recycled. So those kinds of plastics should not be used. So we should refuse plastic. We should not use plastics, which is not good for everyone. So let us see if plastics are a boon or a curse. So like I said, some kinds of plastics can be recycled, but not all of those cannot be recycled. So we actually saw in an activity 1 that polythene bags and some plastics do not rot. That is for making compost, we do not use these plastics or polythene bags because they do not decompose, and that's why we are putting in the landfill and covering it with the sand or soil and keeping it as such for 20 years, because it will take about more than 20 years for decomposing. So that wise it is not as advisable to use polythene bags or some plastics which do not rot. So we should understand that these polythene bags actually create a big problem in garbage disposal. And it may also be a little difficult to imagine our life without plastics, because whenever we go out and buy something, all the shopkeepers, they actually use these plastic bags and they put everything in the plastic bags and give it to us. That is carry bags. What we say is as carry bags. So everywhere we can see these carry bags. So now we shall make a list of a few things that are made of plastics. Okay. So what are all the things that we use which are made of plastics? We can say, for example, toys, then shoes, bags, pens, combs, toothbrushes, buckets, bottles, and water pipe. And the list is very long. It will go on. Just imagine what are all the things that are made in plastics and we are using. Also, apart from this, a few parts in the bus, car, radio, television, refrigerator, and scooter are also made of plastics. Can you name them? In a bus, what are all the plastics used? In a car, in a radio, television, refrigerator. So what are all the plastics used? You can just imagine. Because plastic is coming in everywhere, every nook and corner it is coming again. The use of plastics in itself might not create so much of a problem. So problem arise when we do not have enough knowledge about disposing their waste. So that is what is happening all around us. So we might even be acting irresponsible, knowing well about its harmful effects. That is, we know that these plastics have harmful effects, but still we are using it, and we do not know the actual disposing of this plastic waste. So we are becoming irresponsible, isn't it? And more often we use these plastic bags to store cooked food items. So sometimes these bags may not be suitable for keeping eatables. It may be poisonous. So without knowing that, we will be just storing the cooked food items inside. So what will happen? Those cooked food items and the polythene bag and the chemicals in the polythene bags, they will mix in the food items, which becomes unsuitable for us again eating. And consuming food packed in such plastic bags, it can be harmful to our health. So again the same thing. And all the shopkeepers, and most of the time they use these plastic bags for many other purposes. And sometimes bags collected by rack pickers are also used after washing them. So you should not actually use these plastic bags regularly, because the shopkeepers use used plastics, and the rack pickers, sometimes they collect the racks and give it to the shopkeepers. They just clean it, wash it, and again give it back to us. So just think how hazardous it will be. So use of this recycle plastic bags to keep our food items should be harmful. It is harmful for our health. And we should not store all the eatables in these plastic bags. Okay. And all kinds of plastics give out harmful gases upon heating or burning. So you would have noticed on the streets where all these plastic covers, while burning, they produce bad smell and smoke, which are very, very bad for our health. It pollutes the air, it also pollutes the land. So these gases, they cause many health problems, mainly cancer in human beings. So we should not use these plastic bags. And the government has also laid down guidelines for recycling of plastics. And we must have noticed that people often, not only people, we are also doing this same thing, that is, we'll fill all the garbages in the plastic bags and throw it away on the streets, isn't it? So what will happen? Suppose a cow or any other animal, it comes for searching for food, and when it see these garbage bag, it look for food in these bags. So what will happen? They'll just swallow these things. They will think that food is inside, and they just, without knowing the effect of these plastic bags, it will swallow as a whole. And sometimes they actually die due to this. That is, so what is the reason? Why do these animals die? The reason is the plastics which they swallow will not decompose. That is, it will not digest inside the cow's stomach. So instant it will make the animal to die. It will suffocate the animal and it will cause death to the cow or any other animals. So these plastic bags which are thrown away on the roads carelessly and other places, they sometimes go and on the drains and the sewer system. They will block the drains. So as a result, what will happen? The drains get choked and the water spills on the road, isn't it? Because the plastics will not allow the water to flow through them. And what will happen as a result? The water which is coming to the drain, since it could not flow into the pipes, it will fill out and flow on the road. And during heavy rains, it might even create a flood-like situation. So all the water will be just coming out as a flood. So just think how much harm it can create. So these plastics creates so much harmful for all kinds of human beings and living beings. So now we can think how we can minimize the use of this plastic and how we can deal with garbage. That is, what are all the things we can do to minimize the use of plastics, that we should not use plastic a lot, and we cannot suddenly throw away all the plastics like that. So we can somewhat minimize the use of the plastics, and how we can deal with the garbage. What are all the things we can do with garbage? So they have given about 10 points. So we have to think all this. So let's see what are all the points they have given to minimize the overuse of plastics and deal with garbage. So the first point is we should use minimum use of plastic bags. Okay. So for that we can use paper bags or cloth bags and reuse the bags whenever it is possible to do so without any adverse effects. So you should minimize the use of these plastic bags and we should reuse the bags. Okay, we should not just get from the market and throw it away, then bring another one, then throw it away, bring in another one and throw it away like that. We can use that plastic bags again. Okay, we can reuse it. And this is the first point. And the second point is we should insist the shopkeepers to use paper bags. And for that, we can carry a cloth or a jute bag whenever we go for a shopping. That is safe and sound, isn't it? We should not say anything to the shopkeepers, because instead we can carry a cloth or a jute bag and go for a shopping, which is safe. So that is the second point. The third point is we should not store eatables in plastic bags. So that's the third point. The fourth point is we should not throw plastic bags here and there after use. So most of us do that. So we should not hereafter throw the plastic bags on the public places after use. The next is the fifth point, the important one, that is we should not burn plastic bags and other plastic items. Burning is illegal in open space. So we should never burn plastic bags and other plastic items because it creates pollution. The sixth point, we should not put garbage in plastic bags and throw it away. So the garbages should be separated as recyclable and non-recyclable, that is into green bins and blue bins. So we should not put in all the garbages in plastic bags and throw away in the roadside or in water areas. Again, it will cause all types of pollution. So this is the sixth point. The seventh point is instead of throwing the garbages in the open area, we can use vermicomposting at home. So with the kitchen waste, we can convert these waste into vermicompost. That is the seventh point. And the eighth point is we recycle paper. So recyclable papers can be recycled. They can be used as we have said earlier. So we should recycle the papers. Instead of tearing it and throwing away and buying more and more, we can recycle the paper. Ninth one is, so many children, they just see, when you see them, they write in one side of the paper and just tear it or throw it away, or again when they write, they'll just leave 3 to 4 pages and write again. So they do like that. So we should make these two students or small children to write on both sides of the paper. And for rough work, they can use a slate. Instead of using all the papers and throwing away, they can use slate for rough work. And again, we can use blank sheets of paper left in our notebook for rough work. Sometimes we write all the things in the note and some 10 or 15 pages will be remaining. Most of the children will just throw away that note and use a new note. So we can use that 10 or 15 pages for rough work, isn't it? So we should use all those blank sheets of paper left in our notebook for rough work. So this is the ninth point. And the last point is we should make a practice to our family, friends and others to follow these disposing methods without fail of the different kinds of waste. That is, they should know how to separate the recyclable and non-recyclable wastes and put that in the bins correctly. We should make our family, friends and every others to follow that one. If we follow that, it will be somewhat better for dealing with the garbages, isn't it? So these are the 10 important points with which we can minimize our overuse of plastics and how we can deal with garbage. Okay, so the 10 points, just go through that 10 points. And we itself can also think some more ways to minimize the overuse of plastics and discuss. And the most important to know and think about is that the more and more garbages we generate, it will be more and more difficult to get rid of it. Okay, so if we go on generating garbages a lot and create mountains of garbages, then it will be very difficult to get rid of it. Then instead of our homes, there will be more number of garbage mountains. So we should avoid all this and keep these 10 points in mind so that we can lead a healthy and pollution free life. Okay, so with this we have completed the lesson number 16, garbage in and garbage out. So children, don't forget to read the lesson, which is very, very important, because if you read the lesson, then only you can know what I have taught in these classes. Just go through this, and in the next class we'll see the book exercises. Okay, so bye students.